The title of this topic is "Do Not Marry a Stranger." There's something very common that has been happening even in my own hometown for years now, where people will come from the city and they come and choose a wife. In fact, during the Yuletide or festive seasons like Christmas and New Year period, people travel to their hometowns, many of them in search of a wife or a husband. It happens so much in my hometown. And many people will come. Within a few days of meeting, they will propose, because many people want to marry from their hometown. They may be dating someone else in the city, but once it's time for marriage, they go to their hometown because their parents want them to marry from their hometown. So they'll go home, meet someone. Within a few weeks or even days, they will carry wine to the family of the lady and propose. And in another few months, they'll come back and consummate the marriage and then go back down and start living together. This is a grave mistake. Many people, after such wedding, by the time they get back to the city together, that's when they realize who they have married. Many of such marriages have ended in misery, in pain, sometimes after churning out children, while some never saw the light of the day. Just few months after, some few years after, some were bearing it had become a very toxic home. Sometimes raise toxic children who grew up to also go and start constituting nuisance in the society. Then another one is those who engage in distant relationships. You meet someone on Instagram or Facebook or any other social media or medium, and you start dating, start talking every day, always on the phone, then even propose and start planning marriage without seeing each other physically. Then very few others will actually see each other. Maybe when the guy that lives overseas or in another far city visits, a visit that may last just a few days or weeks, which is not enough to know that person. And the next thing, marry. Some, the only time they are coming is just to get married, like those who live abroad. The only time they are coming back home is just to marry that lady I've been talking with on the phone. And the truth is that there are so many things you will not know about that person that you're getting married to, that you only know when you get into the marriage. And sometimes you will meet a very rude shock. The person you've been talking with on the phone is totally a different person when you finally meet. So, and that time you have committed so much. Some of them, a guy you're dating overseas, he has told you where his parents live. You start visiting his parents and then start getting used to his parents. The parents start seeing you as their son's wife to be. Start spending money on you. You start getting committed without having seen the person. It's very dangerous. And sometimes by the time you now see the person, you have committed so much. Financially, the guy has spent so much on you. You have shown your face to the family. The family has started treating you like their own daughter-in-law. And then at that point, you now see red flags. Some of them. I remember a particular lady that the guy she had been speaking with online for a long time finally arrived in Lagos. They lodged in a hotel, and he beat her up so well in that hotel and apologized. Within the few weeks that the guy spent in Nigeria, he slept with 1,001 girls, and she knew about it. She saw a lot of their chats and everything. Spent money on girls, sleeping out every single night until the day he went back to the United States. And in a few months' time, he came again, and then they got married. And that was the beginning of their problem. Till now, I don't even know if that marriage is still existing. So by the time you have committed so much, you become, mutually attracted. In fact, even falling in love with the person. By the time you see that person physically, the person may be the direct opposite of what he or she professes to be. Maybe the direct opposite of who you think he or she is. And at that point, many of you will not have the guts to say no again or quit. Some even go as far as doing introduction with their families before the person you want to marry finally arrives. That is very dangerous. So many people have ended up this kind of marriage and they are crying today. Now imagine people who are even in the same city, who engaged in dating properly. They still don't know about each other until they got married. There are still things that they carefully hid from each other that got open only when they are in the same house as husband and wife. Then can you now imagine those who date in thousands of miles apart, like one living in another country or living in another state, like several states before where the other one lives. You never get to meet each other. Even if you meet just a few days and you're gone, you can't really tell who the person is until marriage. Here I always prescribe intentional dating and courtship before you say I do. Get to know the person you want to marry as much as you can. How does he or she behave when he or she is angry? How does he or she behave when he or she is broke? How does he or she treat people, including his or her own people? How do they treat the less privileged or the so-called poor people? How kind are they? How empathetic are they? What about emotional intelligence? How about their spirituality? What are some weaknesses? What are their weaknesses and strengths? What are their core values? What are their ambitions or their goals in life? Do they align with yours? Or do you just want to get married for marriage sake? This is one of the major causes of separation and painful divorces. Get to know the person you want to marry so that you'll be sure if this is actually who you want to marry. See how compatible you are. Don't depend on what you are told. If possible, find out about families. There are some families you marry into, you will hate life. So you find out about all this beforehand. Date the person intentionally. And when you see red flags, exit. Especially if it is something you cannot cope with. Don't ever believe that you will change someone. It is not easy. How easy is it to change yourself? Some of you, some of us, we all have our weaknesses that we've been battling to overcome. We are 100% in charge. We've not been able to change ourselves. So how easy do you think it is to change another person? I'm making this video in October, and in next 2 months or so, or thereabout, the year will end, and we'll start writing New Year resolutions. Some of those resolutions, we don't practice them beyond January. Sometimes in February, we are back to our old selves. That's to show you how difficult it is to change a habit. Than you think you can change another adult when you can't even change yourself. Now, something that the shoddy job that some parents did, and that behavior are doing with such person, or some bad traits that some children picked up, and they've been with such bad attitude for like 35 years or so, then you think that you will suddenly change there. 35 years and above, and you think you can suddenly change such person. It is not possible. Get to know someone that you want to marry as much as you can. Do what you can to know as much, everything you need to know about the person before you say I do. And if you're not comfortable with some things, especially your deal breakers, quit. A broken relationship is far better than a broken marriage. Don't rush into any marriage. I am not against distant relationship if you can handle it properly. But please, by all means, get to know the person you want to marry. This is Made to Last TV. If this message has spoken to you, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I'll see you again soon.